We've all done this. You're driving down the highway, choosing your speed based on the traffic, the weather, and your schedule. But now imagine your car automatically slows you down, capping your speed regardless of what you want. This isn't science fiction. It's the next move in driving technology with intelligent speed assistance, advanced cruise control, and vehicle-to-infrastructure systems mandated by the government. And yeah, that's already passed. With speeding linked at over 12,000 U.S. traffic deaths annually, regulators, automakers, and safety advocates argue these tools could save lives. But they also raise questions about cost, your privacy, and how much control drivers should have. Here's a look at what's coming, the trade-offs, and what it means for your choices on the road. You're not going to like this. Personally, I'm not happy to tell you what has passed in the last infrastructure bill. Before you get fired up, I want to remind you to like this video and to subscribe to our channel to keep up with what's going on in the automotive world. And here's a quick word from our sponsor. Maybe you've heard of Calagen and its benefits, but you haven't tried it yet. Here's why you should. Calagen is a unique protein that naturally declines as we age, and you can improve your levels significantly by boosting your bone strength and soothing joint pain. And it minimizes wrinkles and cellulite, enhances hair follicle thickness, and even helps reverse nail damage. I started seeing changes in just a few weeks. For my viewers, there's an incredible deal available offering up to 45% off this bone, joint, and ligament restoring formula. Just head over to getnativepathcollagen.com/Loruren. That's getnativepathcollagen.com/Loruren for that special 45% off and free shipping. In 2021, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reported that speeding contributed to 12,151 traffic deaths, about 1 in 3 fatality crashes, while other developing nations' road fatalities have been going down. U.S. deaths have risen, with some calling it a national outlier. Speed in and out of itself is not dangerous, but combining that with distracted driving, inconsistent road conditions, and weather, it can be a contributing factor to a major crash. And now regulators and safety groups are pushing technologies to address this, arguing the universal speed controls could prevent tragedies. However, drivers value the freedom to make their own decisions, and any solution must balance safety with your choice. Wouldn't it be smarter to find out what other countries are doing to reduce their traffic deaths? The Autobahn in Germany has unlimited speeds, and it's possible that their drivers have better training than just teaching new drivers how to pass the test. I think so. Maybe we should investigate that before we start putting more limitations on all of us. Several technologies aim to curb speeding by limiting vehicle performance or alerting drivers. Although it's annoying when it intervenes is when it gets frustrating. And here's what's on the horizon and how it affects you. Intelligent Speed Assist uses GPS, digital maps, or cameras to detect speed limits and enforce them. It can warn drivers with beeps, resist accelerator pressure, or cap speed entirely. A UK study associated a 37% drop in traffic deaths with ISA, which is this intervention, and New York City's pilot program reports 99% compliance among equipped vehicles. Europe has required ISA in all new cars since 2022, ranging from advisory alerts to mandatory caps. And in the US, the National Transportation Safety Board is eyeing ISA in all cars by 2030. But no federal mandate exists, so we do have a chance to remove it. But it currently is being implemented in some states such as Virginia and New York, as well as a couple others. Some manufacturers are acting in advance, and they're acting independently. Volvo has capped its vehicles at 112 miles per hour since 2020, prioritizing safety over high-speed performance. Systems like Ford's Blue Cruise adjust speed based on road signs, and similar features appear in premium models such as General Motors and BMW. And California is considering requiring speed alerts in new cars by 2030, along with all the rest of their regulations. But the proposal was vetoed amid concerns about driver pushback. I think it's probably more than that. But these features are spreading, potentially affecting how every new car operates. There should be a nationwide pushback in reality, unless you want controls on literally every aspect of your driving. Now, vehicle to infrastructure, which is V2I systems, allow cars to communicate with road infrastructure like traffic signals, school zone sensors to adjust speeds automatically, and that's an intervention. And tests in Seattle and Orlando showed 25% less speeding in school zones, according to the U.S. Department of Transportation. This technology could reduce risks of high traffic areas, but requires significant investment in smart roads. Again, more of your tax dollars being used for more of your control. Adaptive Cruise Control, or ACC, is evolving to read speed limit signs and adjust speed dynamically. A 2023 Insurance Institute Highway Safety, which is IIHS, you may have heard of them, study found that drivers using speed-aware ACC were 20% less likely to speed in urban areas. This feature is commonly offered in luxury vehicles, and this technology is expected to reach mainstream models and influencing driving habits across the board. That's if you're using cruise control. However, advocates argue that speeding isn't just a problem for reckless drivers. Many exceed the limit to keep up with traffic and to save time. And safety groups like the National Safety Council compare speed controls to seatbelt mandates, which slashed deaths decades ago, although they're completely different things. And widespread controls could save 1,700 lives annually, reduce traffic congestion, and lower insurance costs, according to IIHS. Again, more controls, or do you just want to pay attention to the road and actually put your phone down? I think that would be a better solution. Other nations have embraced speed controls with measurable results. Europe's ISA mandate since 2022 has cut fatalities, with Sweden and the Netherlands reporting double-digit declines. Australia is testing mandatory limiters in government fleets, and Japan's V-to-I trials have calmed urban traffic. These examples suggest speed controls can work, but the U.S. faces a unique challenge, including a culture of independent driving and diverse road systems. Not all drivers will welcome these changes. The technology is not ready for prime time, and ISA depends on accurate speed limit data, and errors from bad weather and outdated maps can disrupt driving. Privacy is another issue. We've covered this before. And systems that monitor speed will share data with insurers and likely law enforcement too. Lovely. Raising premiums and, of course, issuing tickets, even though they're nowhere around. And the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety warns that insurers might penalize drivers who override speed controls. How are we supposed to know? Because if the speed limit changes, you're still getting a ticket. Good luck fighting that one in court. Cost is a significant hurdle too. Retrofitting older cars with ISA could cost hundreds of dollars per vehicle. And I'm never doing that to my cars. And while new cars would have the cost built in, not all drivers can afford recent models. And V-to-I requires billions of dollars in infrastructure upgrades, which again, your tax dollars, a tough sell for budget-strapped cities without federal standards. States are experimenting independently. New York runs ISA pilots, while California proposed the law and it failed. Good thing. Usually they're the ones that pass all this silliness. This patchwork approach creates inconsistencies from state to state. And some also fear that speed cap vehicles could frustrate aggressive drivers, potentially increasing road rage and tailgating. Speed controls can affect every driver, regardless of habits. For those who value flexibility, technologies like ISA and V-to-I might feel restrictive, limiting the ability to adjust speed to conditions. Low-income drivers, well, they're going to face challenge as well, because if they don't retrofit this to their car, they might get penalized, and if it becomes mandatory, who's going to pay that bill? If new cars with speed controls carry higher prices, how are they supposed to afford that? But safer roads could lower insurance rates and ease traffic, benefiting everyone. That would be the positive. But the debate hinges on balancing safety with the freedom to drive as you choose. Unfortunately, increased insurance costs are more than just driving habits. They're also acts of God, from floods, fires, and other types of natural disasters that are causing insurance rates to increase. We've covered that on our channel. Your insurance rates can increase when you have a new driver, your credit rating, and of course, your driving history, as well as other factors. Public perception is critical. Antidotes highlight the human cost of speeding, but convincing drivers to accept less control, requiring clear benefits, and even then, well, good luck selling that idea to the public. Federal incentives such as tax breaks for vehicles with speed controls or funding with smart infrastructure could encourage adoption, but pilot programs like New York's ISA trial reduced hard braking by 36%, and Seattle's V-to-I tests curbed school zone speeding. But scaling up demands time and investment, well, that's going to cost a lot of money, and the technology is not ready for the level of adoption regulators are talking about yet, even though it's already passed in the infrastructure bill. If universal speed controls raise too many concerns, other strategies could address speeding. Enhanced enforcement, like more speed cameras, that could target high-risk areas without vehicle modifications, although they're already in place because that was in the infrastructure bill as well. Though it's less comprehensive and also a big violation of privacy and speed, Speed cameras are being put up every single day in many cities, and they're completely funded by the federal government, your tax dollars. That means you're paying to put these cameras up so that they can fine you if you speed. That doesn't make much sense. Public education campaigns might be a better move. Similar to those against drunk driving, they might cause attitudes towards speeding and adding compliance. Infrastructure improvements such as clear signage, traffic calming designs. I'm not really a big fan of that because that means road diets. We'll talk about that in a second, but they could naturally reduce your speed. Now, what about road diets? We've covered that before. They reduce speeds and they restrict traffic flow. So instead of a 4-lane road, it's a 2-lane road, and it becomes very frustrating. And these options preserve drivers' choice to go to a different road, but it may not match the impact of the technology-driven solutions. And all road diets actually frustrate drivers as they get to the point where they just say, forget it, and they pass across the double yellow center median because of frustration. I see it every day. We have road diets here where I live. Now, a hybrid approach could work. Voluntary ISA adoption with incentives paired with targeting enforcement and better road designs. This balance of safety with autonomy lets drivers opt in if they want to while addressing the high-risk behaviors. However, any solution must tackle funding, public support, and technology reliable to succeed. Of course, that's always a problem. The 12,000 annual deaths associated with speeding demand attention, but so does your right to choose how to drive. Technology like ISA, V2I, and advanced cruise control could save lives, but they come with costs, privacy risks, and limits on your freedom. Other countries have reduced fatalities, but these tools are not necessarily good for the U.S., and we must navigate its own path, considering diverse drivers and budgets. Whether you prefer the open road or prioritize safety, these changes will shape your experience behind the wheel. The push for speed controls is gaining momentum, with proposals like the National Transportation Safety Board's 2030 ISA target. To stay informed, follow us, share your views with policymakers, and what's the right balance? Safer roads, driver choice. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's keep the discussion moving forward. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our car review channel, Car Smarts. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, and if you want even more content, check out the links in the description. I'm Loruren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.